Strong leadership is critical in the workplace, and its importance cannot be overemphasized in the organization environment. However, it is rather difficult to define leadership, as it is a term that can be interpreted in several ways. Some key ideas associated with leadership in the workplace involve the ability of a company's management to set out and accomplish goals, the ability to empower and influence others, and the ability to exhibit strong character, integrity, honesty, and ethics. The topic of leadership is important for several reasons. Firstly, a leader has to lead by example and set the tone for other employees. Secondly, a leader makes decisions that can impact the whole organization. And thirdly, they inspire and motivate others to reach organizational goals. They give other employees the motivation to effectively complete their tasks. My name is Anushan, and I, along with Herman, Kiat, Elvin, Jacqueline, and Nicole, will be discussing 4 approaches to leadership. To assist our discussion, we will make reference to a case study on Richard Branson, the founder of Virgin Group Limited. Herman will begin our discussion by talking about the trait, behavioral, situational, and outcome approaches to leadership.
There are different approaches of theory including trait, behavioral, situational, and outcome approach to examine leadership. Firstly, trait approach focus on the personality traits of the leader. Secondly, behavior approach focus on the leader's style of functioning. Thirdly, situational approach focus on the interaction between traits, skill, style, and situation. Finally, outcome approach focus on whether the outcome is transformational or transactional. This presentation will concentrate on the Ohio State study. In the behavioral approach, it identifies the dimension of leader behavior through a study of the perception of follower. The Ohio State study in 1940s attempted to find what behavior substantially account for most of the leadership behaviors described by employees. Their study used leader behaviors description questionnaires as known as LBDQ and contribute a model of programmatic construct, validation, and investigation to the field of leadership studies. According to the founders of Ohio State study, leaders exhibit 2 styles of behaviors, consideration and initiating structure. Consideration is the extent to which leaders are aware of well-being of their followers. To maintain interrelationship with them by mutual respect, leaders should be personable, understanding, friendly, and approachable. On the other hand, initiating structure is the extent to which a leader defines leader and group member roles, attributes formal lines of communication, organizes group activities, and defines how tasks are to be performed. The study's findings suggest that successful leaders will possess a strong ability to be considerate of others, as well as an ability to initiate structure. For example, in the workplace, a manager who is very personable and understanding, but is also able to set expectations and guidelines that request workers to be motivated, efficient, and able to produce high-quality work.
We will now be moving on to the comparison of different leadership theories in terms of their feasibility and effectiveness. Trait theory, Bass transformational leadership theory, and Ohio State leadership model to share the same characteristic, which is its high feasibility to implement since they all assess and determine the leadership factors of individuals by surveys, such as trait theory questionnaire, MLQ, and LBDQ respectively. Trait theory is one of the earliest leadership theory established in the 1930s. It is not effective enough to undertake a comprehensive analysis of leadership solely based on individual traits. It is because the approach is too generic to apply on every situation. Not all traits are elicited the same way in every individual. They can vary widely depending on different situations. Bass transformational leadership theory is considered to be more effective than trait theory, since it is a more precise way to assess leadership factors and observe how a leader is transformed. However, the format of the test remains the same. Anyone who is aware of the factor analysis can easily spot what question corresponding to what factor, predict what factor should apply, and test accordingly. Ohio State leadership model is the most effective one among the above theories. It generated a list of 1,790 statements and narrowed down to 150 statements designed to measure 9 different dimensions of leadership behavior, which is adding reliability and accuracy to this theory and making it outperform than the other two approaches. Also, the results of the questionnaire help evaluate the right balance between high productivity and good relationship with employees in order to achieve goals at work.
Lambert and colleagues examined the effects of leader consideration and initiating structure on employees' work-related attitudes, including trust in the supervisor, job satisfaction, and affective commitment to the organization. This two-part study was conducted using online data from 372 participants. At time 1, participants completed measures of consideration and initiating structure needed and received. 4 weeks later, participants completed measures of the 3 work-related attitudes. Subordinates reported low levels in work-related attitudes when needed amounts of the 2 leadership behavior were lacking. As receiving amounts of consideration and initiating structure were increasing, attitudinal outcomes improved. As consideration received exceeded needed amounts, attitudes continued to become more positive. However, at very high amounts, trust began to decline. Excessive amounts of initiating structure was associated with low measures of all 3 attitudinal outcomes. Subordinates whose need for leaderships are met will perceive that the relationship with the supervisor is one of social exchange. This is essential in maintaining the cycle of ongoing interactions involving mutual obligations between supervisor and subordinate. Organizations may consider employing tools or implement training to help those in supervisory positions adapt to employees' needs. Existing leadership development programs can also be reviewed to consider the potential benefits of fulfilling employees' needs for leadership and the cost of failing to do so.
For our case study, we decided to explore the leadership approach of Richard Branson by incorporating his approach to the Ohio State leadership model. Before I get into his leadership philosophy, I'll just give a brief background. Richard Branson founded the multinational conglomerate Virgin Group Limited in 1970, which currently consists of over 400 companies worldwide, ranging from music and entertainment to lifestyle and travel. His leadership of the company has been integral to their sustained growth over the years. Hence, his leadership approach has been appraised and even adopted by other companies. Richard Branson's leadership philosophy can be divided into 3 principles. The first principle is listening. He heavily endorses dialogue and delegation amongst all his employees, as he wants to establish healthy communication across all levels of his company. The second principle is learning. Richard Branson holds a strong belief in the power of continuous learning. Hence, he encourages his employees to acquire as much knowledge and inspiration from fellow workers. The third principle is laughter. Creating an enjoyable atmosphere in the workplace is one of Virgin's trademarks. Richard Branson believes that creating this type of environment would break down barriers, helping employees feel comfortable and open to sharing ideas. So when we examined his leadership approach through the Ohio State leadership model, we found that he embodies the consideration dimension. His charismatic personality has made him very personable and approachable to his employees. He's invested in maintaining the positive well-being of his employees and actively looks to establish relationships with them. He also displays characteristics of the initiating structure. As a leader, he is very conscientious of his employees. He believes it's important to keep track of an employee's development as well as their value to the company. His passion and belief has been the key to his success. Therefore, as a leader, he aims to instill confidence and optimism in his employees to accomplish their goals, as a way to maximize their performance and effort.
The strengths of Richard Branson's approach to leadership are that it is a good method to differentiate between leaders, and there is a positive relationship between high consideration, high initiating structure, and employee satisfaction and performance. The potential pitfalls are that consideration and structure often fail to be independent and may in fact be negatively correlated. And preferences for and attitudes toward consideration and structure have been found to vary considerably as a function of both the individual and the situation.